Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza is not backing down on his bid for a third term in office despite weeks of protests in the countries. Well, the Constitutional Court there has ruled in favour of the president running for that third term in office. But less than 2 months away from those June 26 polls, the United Nations is already sounding alarm bells that the elections could spur even more violence now and undermine peace sustained for almost a decade. Stephanie Walters is the head of conflict prevention and risk analysis at the Institute of Security Studies, and we chat to her now. Good afternoon, Stephanie, and welcome to the PM News Desk. Stephanie, are you on the line with us?
I am on the line with you, yes. Good afternoon.
Good, Stephanie. Are we seeing the beginnings of an army coup d'etat underway in Burundi right now?
I certainly think we are. I mean, it is very early days, so we have to be careful about how we interpret this. But the fact that General Nyombare, he is a former military intelligence chief, a member of the CNDD-FDD rebel group, which is now the ruling party, so a member of Nkurunziza's inner circle until February this year, when he was kicked out of his position because of criticisms of the bid for a third mandate. So this is quite a senior figure, a well-known person in Burundian politics and in the Burundian military. What we don't know is how much the rank and file will follow. We've had until now, and this has been considered a major achievement, a fairly apolitical army in Burundi in the aftermath of the end of the war in 2005. We're obviously seeing a shift in that. Early reports now coming out of Bujumbura that the army are retreating and that there are some standoffs between soldiers loyal to Nkurunziza and those who are not loyal to him outside of key installations like the Ministry of Information. But it is very early to say.
It is very premature to declare success of a coup. The president could very well likely come home and then reorganize the Hutu power forces loyal to him. And this could mean more trouble for Burundi and then perhaps preventative invasions by Uganda and Rwanda. What do you make of it?
Well, I think certainly if this coup lasts, in other words, if certain parts of the city come under the control of certain elements of the army and others are under elements of the other loyalists, that is a very bad development. That means great insecurity for the civilians in Bujumbura, and it means a standoff in which the military have taken a position, and that would be very bad. If Nkurunziza were then to come back into that context and were, for example, to give instructions to shoot out on civilians, that would even worsen the situation more. I think with regards to regional military intervention, that's not something I think we're likely to see imminently. As you know, President Nkurunziza is at a summit of the East African Community today with leaders from neighboring countries, the DRC, Uganda, and Rwanda. And obviously, the events that are unfolding are now on the agenda of those discussions.
Let's talk about that summit quickly, Stephanie. We know Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, and continental heavyweight South Africa has a presence there. Speak to us of some of the regional implications of this crisis or this constitutional crisis that's currently unfolding in Burundi right now.
Well, the EAC has come quite late to the party with regards to what's been going on in Burundi, and it's only really made concrete moves this week with this summit. We know that Rwanda and Tanzania have come out against a third term for Nkurunziza. Other presidents in the region have not said very much. We know that Uhuru Kenyatta is a big supporter of Nkurunziza. So there are implications as well, because there are other presidents in the East African community who have changed the constitution to allow them to stay on longer, notably Museveni, and we think that Kagame may try that, and we know that Kabila has tried it. He's not a member of the EAC, but he's been invited because he's part of the region. In terms of regional stability, an unstable Burundi adds to general instability in what is already a difficult neighborhood of the Great Lakes region. FNL rebels over many years used the eastern DRC as their base. There are Rwandan Hutu rebels in eastern DRC who may think that they should be getting involved in Burundi. It's just a very bad mix to have more instability, to have uncertainty at the top of the government in Burundi.
Let's talk about the African Union response thus far. It has been a firm one, with the AU Commissioner Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma criticising the President and the Constitutional Court ruling. But how likely are they to get more involved, seeing that the Arusha Agreement, which ended the civil war, was one of the last acts of the old Organization of African Unity, and upholding it now is one of the AU's major responsibilities?
Well, interestingly, the African Union's next step, after speaking quite clearly against a third mandate and stating very clearly that they did not think the conditions were good for elections, and also saying that they would not send election observers, their next step could have been to sanction Burundi by suspending it. Now, if this coup does go forward and we see that this general is going to take over, that is an unconstitutional change of government, and that is also something that the African Union strongly condemns. Other countries have been suspended out from that by the African Union for that, notably the Central African Republic in 2013. So that would have to be, according to the African Union's own charter, the next step for Burundi if this coup does go forward. So Burundi at the moment is in a very difficult position with the African Union, whether or not this coup is real or lasts.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing your insight with us on the PM News Desk. That was Stephanie Walters from the Institute of Security Studies.